All of my singular, phenomenal successes that helped me build my business happened on the heels of failure. I didn't choose it that way, but somehow it always worked that way. When Ramon Simone, who was my first love and business partner, left to marry my secretary, I thought I would never walk again because I was madly in love with him, and he had found me at the diner, had taken me out of my hometown, and he gave me the $1,000 to start my business. And so when he left me, I really felt like nothing. And when I finally built the courage to leave that business partnership 2 years later, which was 2 years too long, on the way out the door, he said to me, "You know, you'll never succeed without me." And I felt in my heart, through every bone in my body, that I would rather die than let him see me not succeed. And it was that insult which really became my insurance policy to continue in business no matter what was happening, because I didn't want to let that guy see me fail. I have found that failure and innovation are kissing cousins. You get one, you work on one, you automatically get the other. And I was able to make the Corcoran Group the innovator in my industry because we were so good at failure. I decided when I had my first year where I had a profit, many years into the business, I had a great idea and I was going to do it, and I knew it was the greatest thing. And the great thing was I was going to take all of our apartments and put them on videotape. And now customers don't have to look at apartments. All they have to do is pop in a videotape and they could pick out an apartment from their lazy boy chair. Oh, it was a great idea. Well, 1 month later, I'm standing in the basement of one of my shops right next to Zabar's. It's still there, in a wet basement with $77,000 of money I blew stupidly on tapes nobody wanted. And they didn't want them because I put my salespeople's faces and phone numbers on them, and they didn't want to hand them to the customer and have them call the next salesperson. So that idea was dead on arrival. And as I was starting to cry in my soup, my husband, Bill Higgins, who was a Navy captain, came home from a war exercise in South Korea, where he was blowing up the North Koreans. This is what boys do on weekends that you would pay with our tax money. Okay. And he was all excited, telling me, "Oh my God, it was amazing." And I said, "You do it every year. What's the big deal?" And he said, "This time we did it in real time on this new thing called the internet." And so I took all my videos, I shoved them on the internet, I put them online. I didn't even know what online meant then. And boom, boom, within the first week I had 2 sales out of London. So I immediately registered every one of my competitors' URLs so that they would have to call me and ask for their URL, as they discovered the thing that was about to change the real estate industry as we knew it then. And can you imagine the advantage I had, having a 2-year heads up and a head start on all of my competitors to horse around and discover what I could do online. I would have never discovered online if I hadn't failed with the $77,000, and that was my reward. I've learned some tricks about building a culture of innovation, and they're not very sophisticated, but I share them with you. My first is that I made a habit of rewarding efforts more than results. And so each of my offices had a good idea box, a big bright yellow box with a slot on the top, as though it was made for a child. And salespeople, were expected to put their ideas in a box. I can tell you, when I opened those boxes every Monday morning at the sales meeting, most of the ideas were terrible. But I gave out $1 for the good ideas and $1 for the bad ideas. And by doing that, the message was, just keep the ideas coming. I remember I got a call from Mark Burnett Productions. It even felt familiar to me, and I don't watch TV. I'm like, ooh, looked him up, and I realized he's the biggest Hollywood producer. And his office was asking me if I would consider being on this new TV show called Shark Tank. I heard what the show was about. I said, "It's perfect for me. Send me the contract." I never read the contract, didn't know what I was getting paid. I signed the contract, expressed it right back. I didn't want to lose that spot to anyone else. I was so thrilled, I ran right out to Bergdorf's, bought 3 autograph signing outfits. I was going to Hollywood. I was cool. I was so happy. And then only a week before I was going, or 5 days before I go, I got another call from his assistant who says, "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Corcoran. We've changed our mind. We've hired another woman." I couldn't believe it. But I was already in the habit of failing. And so I sat down and banged out the best email I think I ever wrote in my life. I'll read it at the beginning to you. "Dear Mark, I understand you asked another girl to dance instead of me. Although I appreciate being reserved as a fallback." How insulting. We'll use you as a fallback? All right. "I'm much more accustomed to coming in first. But I consider your rejection a lucky charm, as everything good in my life happened on the heels of rejection. And I cited, of course, Sister Stella Marie said I'd be stupid. Ramon Simone said I'd never succeed without him. He was wrong. Donald Trump said I'd never see a penny of his $4 million commission that I had to sue him in state court to collect. And I got the commission. And then I went on to say, I think you should consider inviting both women out to compete for the seat. And that's exactly what he did, and I won that seat. Now today, I have invested in 24, or 22, 24, I always get mixed up, businesses on Shark Tank, working with those entrepreneurs every day and helping people's dreams come true. What would have happened if I hadn't stood up and wrote that email and not accepted the rejection? I wouldn't have had the job, number one. I wouldn't have known these people, and all those lives would have been changed. How important it was that I sat up. I also learned, after I was on the set for almost 2 months, that they had rejected 3 times more people. Had them all sign contracts and only picked 25%. And my producer said no one wrote a letter. No one sent an email. No one objected. Couldn't they be in those seats today? Probably, but I'm so thankful I wrote my email. I've learned to think of failure after everything I've done in life as a lucky charm, as a little, like a heads up, a little bright light. Because you know what? I have never had it where I haven't seen that the flip side of that is always the biggest opportunity. It just has happened that way for me my whole life, right? And I feel that my own personal ability to handle rejection is more largely responsible for every success I've had than anything else I've done in business. And believe me, I've learned a lot and I can do a lot of other stuff. But the one thing I do so well is I fail well. And so I happen to, I can't say I love rejection. That would be lying. I accept rejection. What? Give me a word. Let's hear it for rejection. There we go. That's it. Thank you very much.